name's Lauren, and in this reflection I will be responding to the video by Uncle Robert Paul from the Kinchela Boys Home on YouTube, where he shares his lived experience about being removed from his community, from his family, as part of the Stolen Generations. This reflection is centered on how I listened and what I noticed within myself, although it did take a few goes to actually get to that point, because at the start I was more analysing the content rather than analysing how I was listening. So I went back and I grounded myself in the Dadiri deep inner listening as described by Ngama, which calls for stillness and presence and openness to the storyteller, rather than approaching it as I'm trying to analyse the content. I also thought back on Rinaldi's pedagogy of listening, which helped me remember that listening is an act that creates connection and shared meaning. So these theories help me prepare myself to listen, not just with my ears, but with all of my senses as well. When I first listened to Uncle Robert's testimony, I noticed how easily my mind filled with the thoughts and the noise, both in my physical environment and in my mind as well. I don't have a very quiet environment, so it's often hard for me to listen and take in information. So it's something that I can reflect on and work on, which I think listening to this video has really opened up my mind to how I listen and how I can improve my listening. So while I was listening, I experienced a wave of emotions. I felt really sad about the things that Uncle Robert spoke about, and I was sad about how he was taken from his family, from his community, and stripped of his culture. I felt really uncomfortable. I was reflecting on my own privilege and how distant that experience is from my own life, and that also made me feel sad. I felt anger about the policies and the systems that allowed the children to be removed simply because of their race. But I also felt a big amount of respect for Uncle Robert, because his resilience to be able to share such a personal experience publicly. These emotions weren't very easy, or were they nice, but I think they were quite significant and important to go through while I listened. One moment that stood out to me was when he spoke about how being taken from family changed not only his childhood but his sense of belonging, and that was a big eye-opener for me, because belonging is something I often talk about as an educator, and it's something we put into children's learning, and it's what we strive for. But then I thought, am I really connecting with belonging, or am I just ticking boxes? So I've learned that belonging is actually much deeper, and it's about identity, connection to land, culture, having a place in history. And it's shifted my understanding of belonging entirely. I noticed assumptions I held about how inclusion works. For a long time, I thought inclusion meant making sure everyone participated equally, but listening deeply to Uncle Robert revealed that inclusion must engage with history and power imbalances and special rights. Rinaldi reminded me that listening is power, and in this case listening meant acknowledging that I'm not an expert but rather a learner, and I can grow from that. Deep listening practice has significant implications for my teaching. In early childhood settings, families and children bring stories of identity, trauma, resilience, and if I don't listen deeply, I don't hear the words without engaging with that person, I risk a missed opportunity to connect. And so I plan to slow down and slow pedagogy, slow listening. Inclusive practice is not about quick solutions or trying to fix something, so it's more about respect and accountability and acknowledgement. So this story did unsettle me in ways, but it was completely necessary. It challenged my assumptions about listening, inclusion, privilege, and it reminded me that listening is active and embodied. It's not just something that happens through your ears. So I'm really grateful for this experience, and I've really learnt a lot. Thank you.